Welcome to the Atomic Real Estate Show, Philadelphia's #1 real estate podcast and a Direct Subs production. Real estate investing is not rocket science, and on our show, we'll delve into best practices with a focus on the small things that add up over time. Please enjoy the authentic, informative, and actionable show with our host, Paul Jagelski.
Hello and welcome to the Atomic Real Estate Show. Join me and our local guests to dive into the local latest trends and insights in the Philadelphia real estate market. This show is brought to you by Direct Subs. Please check them out at directsubs.com, focusing on building connections for investors and contractors throughout the greater Philadelphia area. I'm Paul Jagelski, your host. Now sit back, relax, and let's listen to our guest today. Deyni, thank you for joining us. I really do appreciate it. I'm going to let you introduce yourself because you've got a lot to give today.
Thank you. Thank you, Paul. This is Deyni Mejia. I am originally from Honduras. I'm an entrepreneur, empowered, quitting corporate women in business. Dreamer, doer. That's me, Deyni Mejia. Nice to meet you. I am the founder of the Pink Door Project, which is my dream of just buying a bunch of houses and making them Barbie style or like my style, Deyni style. And all of my doors are pink. And I have the actual palette color in my little agenda.
Now, what made you choose pink as your initiative?
Ever since I was a little kid, I was just like obsessed with pink. Like my parents would be like, "What color do you want it?" I'd be like, "Pink." And so everything was just pink. And it just, at some point I like tried to suppress it when I was a teenager and I was trying to be like punk, you know, and I was like trying to be like black and dark purple. And then I tried blue and purple and lavender. And eventually I was just like, you know what? It's always been, and it's always going to be pink.
Aww.
Because it'd be a flamingo and a pack of pigeons. And so all my doors are pink quartz, which is a shout out to Home Depot. What is it? The burr paint for Home Depot. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
So when I'm driving around the Philadelphia area, I see that color. I know it's your door.
That's me. Yeah. Man young.
Whee! So how'd you get into investing?
Woof. I've been working corporate for 2 years, doing like tech consulting, and my biggest expense was rent. I was living on my own, so I was dropping like $1,500 at the time, 2018, for a 1-bedroom in a nice neighborhood that was close to my job. And it would just be like flushing all this money down the toilet every month. And it'd be like, I was getting like paid pretty decent for an entry level recent grad, but I feel like I could just not ever save enough. And everything was like, can I afford it? So anyway, it occurred to me like, maybe I should buy a house. Like, what do I need to do to buy a house? Right. And I was just looking through my bank app and it was like, buy a house with Chase. And I clicked on it and I was like, I don't know what is a house, but let's see. And they're like, boom, 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 with your thing, you're pre-approved. I was like, what is that? What is that? So then I was like walking, I used to work in Manayunk, Main Street. So I was walking to my office and I ran into this, the worst real estate office. Don't ever go there. But it was there and I was like, oh my God, it's a sign, right? Literally a sign of real estate. And I looked at it and I was like, oh, okay. So like I could get like an entry level house with my pre-approval with Chase, which is, by the way, also don't ever get pre-approved by Chase. Like get pre-approved by like your local person. Yeah. Rookie mistakes, right? But like you start somewhere. And so I go and I'm like, I want to buy a house. And it's like, how old was I? 26 years old. my girlfriend at the time, she was like, not my girlfriend, but my friend who's a girl. she was like, I think I told her, I was like, I'm gonna buy a house. And later on she makes the joke that she said, like, the Deyni said she's gonna buy a house. She was like, okay, cool. Like in the next year or so, she's gonna buy a house. And the next month I was like, I bought a house.
Oh my God.
I just move like that. I'm like, if a popcorn idea comes up in my head, God, someone stop me. Someone asked me some questions. Like,
don't stop her. Let her go.
Yeah, like I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it, or I'm gonna do something similar, or something, or maybe I'll do the complete opposite. But like, at least ask me where I'm going. If you just see me like grab my planner and go, like, ask me where I'm going.
So was it turnkey? Did you need work to it?
Whew. So I got to work with the worst real estate agent in all of Manayunk, right? And he showed me like the worst, not the worst houses, but the best of the worst houses that I could afford. At the time, I was looking at it was 2018, 2019. So I was looking at 270, 250, 280 was my budget. Like 280 was pushing it. And so I knew in my head, I was like, all right, I can buy a house that it has to have 3 bedrooms at least and 2 bathrooms, so I could rent it out and like between all of us cover the rent. And that way I can make sure I can afford all the payments for sure. And at the time, I had no idea that this is a methodology called house hacking. Apparently has a name. But I didn't know that until like last week. I learned that. After reading Sarah Weaver's book, I learned that it has a name, and I was like, but I invented that.
I love that you just jumped right in 2 feet.
In my head, I'm like, that makes sense. I'll do it. So anyway, that was a requirement, and it had to be like nice enough, like that my parents are developers back in Honduras. My mom's an architect, my dad's an engineer. So I know that if I was with them, they could have I could have bought like an old house and flip it, but they are home working and taking care of my grandparents. So they weren't able to come and do that with me. So I was like, all right, it has to be something that is old, but flipped already, a rehab. So after looking into many houses and firing my first real estate agent, because after 5 houses, he told me, aside that he was a Trump supporter, but let's not even get into that, because that was like a heated political, social disruptor back in the day. He said, statistically speaking, if a buyer wants to buy a house and if they've seen 5 houses or more and they're still not pulling the trigger, it means that statistically they're not going to buy a house.
No.
And I said, statistically speaking, if a real estate agent tells that to a new home buyer, statistically speaking, 100% of the time he's going to get fucking fired.
You're fired.
So like, peace. And for new home buyers, by the way, there are my apartment complex was run by, I think, Compass. No.
Maybe.
The Howe Group.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
And the Howe Group their properties are a little expensive, but they're nice properties in good neighborhoods. And they have a good maintenance system. They have property management. And I reread my contract because I was figuring out like my timeline to getting out of that lease. And little did I know, there was a little nugget there that said, if you use a Howe agent to get your first home or buy a house, then you get flexibility in getting out of your lease. And we give you some sort of discount or like a month something. They give you, I think it was like a month rent, or like they give you some sort of bonus. And I was like, oh yeah, that's perfect. And
I do that in my practice as well for my rentals. I stole one, and it's the greatest little thing.
Brilliant.
It takes away all the stress from both the buyer side and the agent side.
Because then
and the landlord side.
Yeah, and like you can buy really when the time is right, when the rate drops, when you find a house, like you don't have to worry about moving and all that stressful stuff. So that's how I ran into John Krause, who is, shout out, my local Philly go-to real estate wise man, because he's not my realtor, he's my wise man.
The guru.
The guru, yeah.
He's the guru. He's good.
You know him, right?
Yep.
He's like, I don't know, 7 feet tall. And he should be retired at this point, I suppose, but he's out there riding his bike across the country and like being fitter than like me and the average young person. And he'll like pull his like little flashlight and he'll like look at the termite and I'll be like, I want that house. And he's like, no, Deyni, there's signs of termite damage and there was asbestos here and that is in the wrong place. And I'd be like, all right, I'll shut up and let's go see the next one, John. And I told them, you know, like this guy told me that after 6 houses, like, what? Deyni, I'll show you 100 houses if you want to see 100 houses, and I'll never push you to buy a house. He'll actually, when I say I like this one, he'll be like, did you see the circuit box? And I don't know how many houses we saw, but finally I found this one in Apple Street, which sounds super cute. Great location. And I was like, that's the one. That's the one. I was like so in love with this house. And then John, God bless John, he says, this one has termite damage. It was treated, but it had it and it was bad. And they put this beam and you really want it, we get it for you. But that's up to you. And that's kind of like the things that my dad will tell me. Like, I don't really listen to anyone but my dad. So when someone tells me something like that, I'm like, all right, let's go look at the next one. And the next one was on East Street. 135 East Street. And it was a little bit above my budget. It was $285K. And I was like, ooh, pinching pennies, can I afford that? And I literally walked in and I like the moment I opened the door, like this is what I tell myself about not having like a boyfriend or a husband. Like, it's like a house. The moment you walk into the right house, that's when you go, this is the one. Zero doubts. That was the one, and I knew it, and that was the one.
I tell my clients the same thing, though. They'll know. They will know when they walk in that front door.
You'll know. And that was the house. 3 bedrooms, 2.5 bathrooms, built in 1920, owned by this old lady. Her name was Elner until she died, and then someone bought it for whatever flipper buys a house for very cheap. Unfinished basement, backyard, decent size, big backyard, let's say, for Manayunk, for Manayunk, big backyard. Crappy fence, but a lot of space out there. An outhouse in the bathroom, not really sure. We think shed or outhouse, not really sure. And then it was straight staircase up, three floors. Straight living room, open concept living room, kitchen. Straight stairs upstairs. Bedroom, master bedroom, washer dryer, master bathroom, and then freaking Manayunk and Philadelphia, right? Spiral staircase up to the 3rd floor. Second large bedroom, full bathroom, and small like office, like 3rd bedroom. But you can fit a single bed in there perfectly fine at a desk. Actually about the size of my office currently. And so I was like, that's the one, John. What do you think? And John was like, pulls out his little flashlight. If you want it, D, I think you should get it. And I was like, yes, that's the one. And that's the story of 135 East Street. And the first thing I did when I moved in is I painted my door pink.
Oh, that's awesome. I like it. You stick to your guns initially, and it works out for you. So how long have you had that property now?
Bought it in September 2019. And the first thing I did after I painted the door pink was I fixed the backyard because I needed to have me and my timelines that I just like pull out of my. And I said, I need to have a housewarming party that's in the backyard, and I need to fix the backyard. And God, I don't know why I'm like this, but it has to be before November or October before it gets too cold because the weather turns, whatever, right? So I don't know what I did. I guess with the seller's assist that John got me, and like he helped me. There's a couple of things in the house that like he was able to get me a discount, like a couple of things that the inspector. Yes, inspector for sure. Philadelphia inspector, like always, unless it's like a new construction, and even then, inspector.
Even then, please.
Yeah, inspector. Like only if you really just don't. Inspector. So yeah, because at some point it was raining in my second floor because the bathroom. Yeah, I'm not gonna name names, but the developer that they did that house did a really nice job on the outside, and the inspector passed it mostly. Everything kind of checked out, and there was things like rained in the second floor when my roommate showered for too long. The circuits in the first floor were all like lights, all the outlets, everything was in one circuit electric box. So if you had the TV on and the light on and I don't know what else on, like it'll trip.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, thankfully my parents came. So I have a huge like support system, and God bless them. I hate moving. Like moving is the death of me. So when I was getting ready to move, I called for backup. Well, first of all, I told my parents, like, found the house. They're like, yeah, we're gonna come help you move. I'm like, Mom, I need you to help me pack, like purge, pack, unpack, set up, hang the pictures because I can't at the time. I know how now. I got got my level and my drill, but at the time I couldn't to save my life hang a picture. So I was like, Mom, I need you. Dad, I need you. And so they came, and then I threw a party at my old apartment, and I got pizza, and I told all my friends. I think I told like 20 people. It's like moving party. I'll get beer and I'll get pizza, and I got a U-Haul, and I lived in a third or fourth floor of no elevator in an apartment, also in Manayunk though, but it was torture. But I got like, I don't know, out of the 20 people, like 12 came, and then plus my parents and the U-Haul, and within 2 hours we were in and out of the apartment and settled into the new house. And everyone was just like little ants. Everyone was just like doing their thing. And then we just, at the end, I just like came back with the pizza and beer, and it was like, we got this picture. Maybe I can find it. And yeah, it was actually like such a good moving experience. The best one I've had.
That's awesome. Yeah, moving usually sucks ass. I did it. I think we lived in 13 places over 9 years at one point. Yeah, we usually just purge.
Places?
Yeah.
Wow. First of all, that's a bad luck number.
It was a lot of different jobs or job opportunities, but I don't regret any of it. I mean, it brought me to where I am. We lived in multiple flips. We lived in multiple rundowns. We lived in multiple nice places. And now as an investor, I tend to go towards those nicer places. Like, that's what I want. I want to give back. I want people to have a nice place to live.
Yeah. As an investor, like it's what you said earlier, like it's so great that you give them flexibility if they work with your agency, or with you. And also even like if you could even throw things in, like recommend a good moving company, right? Like, for example, Pineapple Movers, shout out. They're great. They like took care of, they didn't bang a single wall, right? Like I have stuff like, I had a screw sticking out of my vanity because that's where I hung my dryer. I don't know, like liability everywhere, right? But they like took the screw out and they undid my treadmill, and like they undid my pull-out couch, and they put it back together, right? So Pineapple Movers or any moving company really that you, as someone who's moved 13 times, can recommend, I'd say would be huge for a first-time buyer.
Yeah, many years ago. Most of it was in the back of a truck in a garbage can.
Just garbage bags, black garbage bag, contractor bags.
Yeah,
I've done that one too.
I knew those well before I got into this life. So you had your housewarming party. Did you get roommates? Did you rent it out?
Yeah, so I rented out the 2 rooms.
Yeah.
It was right before the pandemic, so this was 2019 into 2020. I'm like settling into my house. This European exchange student rented out the small office, and $500 at the time. And then I call her my dog's au pair, my dog's nanny. Now her name is Kat. She actually, Luna, come here, Luna, come here. Don't be shy. Is one of my children, right? This is Luna, right?
Beautiful.
Thank you. And Mateo is my other baby. So Kat, I didn't have him at the time, but Kat has been my tenant for 3 years now, since she moved in May 2020. So as the pandemic started,
Yeah.
and as I had just had knee surgery, that's when I know.
You bought a house, you had knee surgery, and you're getting tenants out of it.
And it was a pandemic and all in one. Yeah. So 2020, Kat moves in. And so what's that? I think at the time my mortgage was $1,700. So that was that 500, 800. I don't know how much that is, but that covered like a big part of my mortgage.
Yeah.
At the time, I didn't charge them separately for utilities. So I do recommend, if you're house hacking, take the time to divide utilities and split them, because it eats up at your pocket. Like in the summer, in the cold months and the winter months, you don't really account for that. So it's more simpler, but it's less profitable. And then people don't taking care of utilities. So
see, I was waiting for that part. Yes.
Yeah, people just leave everything running.
Yes.
And you're like, turn off the light. Yeah, like a mom nagging. Yeah.
No.
So anyway, that's when I flipped the backyard. So right after I was recovering from my knee, and I had nothing to do, pandemic hits. My dad again, God bless my father, the only person who can tell me what to do. And I'll usually listen because his words are, prophetic. Like if he tells me something, it'll very likely happen. So I always tell myself that. After not listening to him about 3 times in my life, I was like, all right, we gotta readdress this procedure. So when he tells me something, I reconsider and I take his advice very seriously. So he came over. He's from Honduras. He's my mom's American. My mom's a U.S. citizen. I am a U.S. citizen because of her. But my dad never really cared to get his residence because he's just doing his thing in Honduras, right? He's just over there. He's the engineer, so like but here he's just like this country. So he's like, nah, like I'm getting older. Like I need a retirement plan. I need good health care. Like I'm gonna get my residence and citizenship so that I can eventually retire there, because life is more comfortable when you're older. So he had come, and the plan was that he was going to be here 4 or 5 months, whatever amount it takes to get the residence. And he got stuck because he applied for it, and then the pandemic hit and the immigration office shut down. So he was like a month out. So he helped me move. They helped us move in. My dad stayed September. And the plan was that about February, he would be having his residence like approved. But in the meantime, as the process is ongoing, you're not allowed to leave the country, because then it means that you abandon your process. And you pay a lot of money for it. Like you pay, I don't know, $2 or $3K for all the stuff. And that's without a lawyer. I was the lawyer because I know how to use Word docs and PDF. So I was the lawyer. Now I know how to do that.
To the resume.
Now to do the rest of it. We made so many mistakes because you send the form and then if they don't like the one word, you gotta do it again. So anyway, immigration lawyer. And so it's February and the immigration office is still closed. So my dad was supposed to be here 4 or 5 months. He ended up staying 15 months with me.
Wow.
Then he stayed to like help me with the knee, and then the pandemic, and then like the pandemic basically felt like never ended.
Yeah.
You couldn't get the thing, and so my mom was actually back home on her own. Like they had bought this country house. They had built this country house. So my mom was like basically in the forest with like the horses and the dogs living in the forest out of the land by herself. So she was safe from COVID, but I guess at some point she was starting to talk to the trees. So my and I are here, and him and I are very like similar minded. Like he's more analytical and down to earth, but we're both like dreamers in a way. And my mom's the one that keeps the balance of like, but you gotta do a list and you gotta check it twice and you gotta get the cost and whatever. But you have my mom. So over here, I'm like, Dad, let's fix the backyard. Says the girl with the ACL reconstruction surgery, right?
Yeah.
So we go and we basically dug out that whole thing, built a patio, put up a fence, me with my knee brace. And then finally in my backyard, I can send you pictures too. Like it was just ta-da, beautiful. And then Deyni says, Dad, I want a hot tub. And then Deyni is a daddy's girl, and daddy's an engineer, and his basically job description is to figure out complex problems. So Deyni's there watching her father hold on to a 14-foot pole that he like screwed with like planks to the fence that we built. It's a row home, right? So it's a townhome, and there's an alley that was 38 inches wide. Concrete. Backyard, right? And then out of all the hot tubs that I like found, there was one that was 36 inches wide. That's the one that I because it had to be 5 people minimum, so Deyni could have her get-togethers, right? And I was like, Dad, do you think it's possible? He's like, my dad with his like brilliant mind plans, he's like, yeah, absolutely possible. So next thing I know, the people are delivering this hot tub, Paul, and it's this giant thing, like it's gigantic. It's wrapped in like foam and plastic, and it's just like huge. And like the delivery drivers are like beep, 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 getting that thing down. And they're like, we're all like standing there like, is this gonna fit through the alley? He's like, you're gonna put it through there? This is gonna go through that. And I'm like doubting my dad. I'm like, you told me you did? And my dad's like, it says here. and then the delivery drivers are like, maybe we should stay here in case it doesn't fit, so you need to return it. And then we were like, I called some friends. Thank God again for my friends. It was like 3 boys. So we're like pushing it. My dad set up a pulley from the other side, and he's like pulling with a pulley. And that thing is just going. Right? Just shoving this thing through the alley that's hitting like all the sides, and like the paper is ripping. And then it gets to the end of the alley miraculously. And then they're like the alley, like it's covered by concrete. So like the alley ends, and then like there's the fence that we decided to put before the hot tub. 6-foot wooden solid fence, right? And there's a gate, and the poles are with concrete because we built it well, because my dad's an engineer. So now, right, he has to lift the hot tub up in the air, not 6 feet, but more than that, because then the little roof thing is there's, it has to lift above the fence, above the little like side roof, above that, and then like slide it down that roof and then drop it into the backyard, right? That's the problem. So there's my dad, right? This man is 68 years old at the time. 14-foot pole with planks screwed onto the one fence thing. He is one 14-foot ladder that I managed to borrow from, out of all places, my job at the time, a consulting company. So my dad is one hand on the pole, 1 foot on the ladder, 1 foot around the pole, 68-year-old man, and then we move the pulley up top, and then he is pulling the hot tub up, and then I have my friend pushing it, and I'm there with the knee brace, just watching this potential tragedy about to unfold, and I'm just thinking, if I lose my dad because I wanted a hot tub, I'm not gonna be able to live with myself. So I went inside until like they were able to put it on the roof and then slide it down, and then my dad was off the ladder and on the ground, and then we just dragged it up and we put it where it was supposed to be.
The dreams and goals of investing, what we go through.
Yes.
So I'm assuming that hot tub is staying at that property.
It's there. My tenants love it. I mean, it's broken like multiple times, but my tenants love it. And the spa technician, the only spa technician in Manayunk, because has a spa in Manayunk, right? So he knows me by name, and like I call him often. I have it on speed dial because it was the cheapest hot tub that I could afford at the time. And yeah, so it's like the most basic model.
It's a nice amenity to have, especially in Manayunk.
Right.
I moved out of Manayunk because I wanted a pool, and to afford a pool in Manayunk with that kind of space is just.
Yeah. And you can have it hot in the winter and you can have it colder in the summer, and it's a lot easier than a pool to take care of.
But much cheaper, I'm sure, too, as I still haven't officially closed my pool yet.
Still? We talked like a month ago and you still hadn't done it.
I know. I'm working on it. It hasn't officially gotten to freezing temperatures yet. I'll get it done, I promise.
We'll get there. We're at 7:45 tonight. It'll be fine.
Oh, wow. And now you also dabble in something.
Sorry.
Well, yeah. No. Listen, 45 is still not freezing. It's got to be 32 for a long period of time. I'll get it done this weekend, I promise.
Good.
But you do something that is what I consider very scary. Two things, actually, within the same.
My dad, right? For a
time. You invest out of state and you do short-term rental out with it.
I do, yes.
How in the world did you jump into that one?
Well, so I didn't want to be here for the winter because winter here sucks in Philly. Hate it. And I ride horses. So I grew up riding horses. And I had to stop once I moved to college and moved here because I couldn't afford it. It's too expensive to do it here. And up until recently, last summer, I was able to like start to afford it. So I started riding this horse, and my coach, she's a professional rider and a trainer, and she's training her daughter to become a professional rider. So I met her. She liked that I had this competitive edge. And so we started riding together. She basically gave me a horse that was really good potential horse. She gave me basically at cost. And the condition was that I would like ride him and compete him. And we made a great team. So the plan was that in the winter, we go down to Ocala. Equestrians go down to Ocala because everywhere else in the world is cold, and Ocala is the horse capital of the world. Actually, let's cut that. I don't want to give the name. Let's just say Florida.
Work.
So in Florida, there's a lot of horses, and we went to this town that specializes in hosting events for horse sports. And so we planned to go down there, and oh my god, it's so expensive to bring your horse and ride. And anything, a shirt that says horse is like $20 more expensive than the normal shirt that doesn't say horse. I swear to God. So I, again, pinching pennies, renting out my rooms, like renting out my current bedroom to an Italian exchange student. European exchange students, women are amazing. Like, add that to your hack sheets. So I rent out my room here. I save my money, and I'm trying to find a house down there. And it's hard because the apartments are like 7-month minimum, not furnished. Airbnbs are expensive. The only option I had was like this one girl who I ended up renting a house from her. She was about my age, and she was trying to house hack. But let's just say she was unfriendly, and she didn't like me or my dogs. And after 10 days, she basically told me that I had to leave that day by 5 p.m. So there I am, 10 days into being into like a whole new world in Florida, not really knowing anyone, and having to find a house within ASAP because I'm basically homeless. And my dad forgot to mention I have an uncle that lives like an hour away from that. But anyway, I have 2 dogs, like 2 like large poodles, and I am homeless. And so like I shove everything back into my car because I drove down there, and it took me a while. Well, it took me actually 48 hours. No, yeah, for 2 days to find somewhere to stay. I can talk myself into and out of anything, basically. So I ended up renting a room from this, another long story, but this dysfunctional family that had a spare bedroom. And well, my dog did eat one of their chickens, but we're still friends. Mateo ate one of his chickens, but it lived, and then it died shortly after that because of another tragedy that was unrelated to Mateo's attack of the chicken. So that chicken was just marked from birth. But in doing that, I start realizing that it's really hard to find housing that's furnished. I end up paying. There was a townhome that someone had, like they had like that month and a half, it was empty. Like, you know, like Furnished Finder kind of, you know what Furnished Finder is? Yeah. All right. We'll add a talk track about what Furnished Finder is later if we need to. But basically, kind of like a home like that that's furnished, and they were renting it for $2,600, and it was like kind of like 20 minutes, 15 minutes away from the venue where all the events are. And this venue, like they just opened it. It's like brand new Olympic state, like amazing, incredible. And it's super expensive. Like there's a hotel on there that's expensive. They have like housing accommodations, like RV spots to park that are $95 a day. And if you want Wi-Fi, it's $100. Yeah. So you do the math. It's like a lot of money, like over $3,000 for like a month. And on top of that, you have to own an RV or rent an RV. They also have this like one trailer park style kind of neighborhood that's a couple blocks away from the venue, owned by the same company. And they have 800 square foot mobile style homes. They accept dogs, furnished, 3 beds, 2 baths. And like they go depending on the season, because like winter season is high, about $300 a night, like something ridiculous like that. Between $250 and $300. So if you do the math, it's about $6,000 to stay there for the month. Yeah, 800 square foot homes, like apartment size, basically. Yeah. So as I'm living there, I'm like, what is up with this, right? So I just wonder what Zillow says. And I go on Zillow, and like, you can buy these like 1,300 square foot homes in like a gentrifying area nearby for like half of what I'm paying at this apartment. And I did the math, and I'm like, what am I doing? But at the moment, Paul, I am being Deyni, and I'm buying a house. I own 135 East Street. I'm buying 125 East Street with John Krause, with Philly, while I am in Florida, because basically I told John, I wanted a house that is like this, like basically like the one that I want, but like 2.0 version upgrade. And that house didn't exist, at least not in Manayunk or in my price point. So I basically, after seeing, I don't know, 50 houses, I was like, John, forget it. I'm going to go ride horses in Florida. And that's basically where I was. And like a month later, John calls me and he's like, D, I have a house for you. I'm like, John, I told you I'm riding horses in Florida. I don't want to know anything about houses. And he's like, no, listen, D, like this one is 3 doors down from the one you already own. And it's 125, and then you already have 135. And I was like, oh my God. And then basically I had my best friend play real estate agent for me. She was living in 135. She was like, I rented out. She had recently had a divorce, so she was living in my basement, which I did finish in 135. So she was living in the basement. And I was like, Anna, can you go with John to like see this house? Anna like basically forgets that she has an appointment, but like she parked her car and like, because there was no driveway in my old house, and like coincidentally bumps into John as I'm calling her, and I'm like, how's the house looking? So they do a tour together, they FaceTime me, and I'm in Florida. It's like February. I'm in Florida, and they like FaceTime me, and I'm like looking at this house, and I at this point I'm like jaded. I'm like, it's just gonna be a waste of time. But that is the house, Paul. Like that is the house. I'm not even there, but that was the house. This it's a mess. Actually, don't look at it. But this is the house. And 2,600 square feet, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, this is the house. Sorry for a different time. So I bought this house. I'm closing in March. And then it occurs to me at the end of March, when I have a week left in Florida, because I have to come back to reality. Whoop, there goes gravity. I'm basically starting to pack. And then it occurs to me, what if I buy a house in Florida?
There's the wheels ticking again. They're just turning.
So last week, I went to a bar, like a tiki bar, and I ran into this like crazy realtor lady, and she tells me about what a HELOC is, home equity line of credit, which also talk track to add there what it is later. But basically, I ran my numbers, and I'm like, I can pull like enough money for the down payment, like more than enough, and for furnishing costs, and I could have my own Airbnb, and I could like come here whenever I want. And I like did my market research in the most like old age like caveman ways, with like looking at Airbnb individually and Zillow, and one by one, and looking at all the things. Use big data, like just don't. Yeah, actually, that's my secret. I won't give away that secret. But anyway, ran all my numbers. I was like, this makes sense, right? I read all the books, and I was like, all right. I went to look for houses, and I found, after 3 houses, I found the house. It was covered in like these old people. Nothing wrong with the old people, just that they were like hoarders. But the house was a 2020. Basically a new construction, like two-year-old house, like 3-bed, 2-bath, 1,300 square feet, fenced backyard, 1/4 of an acre, 8-minute drive from the venue. Asking price $245. I was like, me. And I put an offer at $239 actually, and I was gonna go like above that, because I was like, this is a hypothesis. I don't even know if it's going to work. And with the HELOC in there, like, it's truly, at this point, it's a gamble. But, like, worst case scenario, like, rent my Philly houses, come live here, or whatever it is. And, like, I was able to rent 135 with enough, a lot of return in RI, so I could cover that gap if I needed to, along with my day job. Oh, yeah. This whole time I have a full-time 9-to-5 virtual job, by the way. Small detail. And so I come back to Philly because I need to like come deal with things. It's my birthday, 29th birthday, and I put in the offer. They're not giving me an answer. So I have to move out of my townhome that's expensive in Ocala. So I leave. And basically my realtor calls me. He's like, you didn't get it. And I was like, damn. All right. Okay. And I'm like the 17-hour drive, right, back to Philly. I'm thinking, what if? And I'm like, okay, I'll do it, but I'll try again later. I'll go like fix my life in Philly first. And then like 2 or 3 days later, I was like, I need to get a house. Damn, I wish I could have gotten like 3 houses before 30. And I'm turning 30 in like, I don't know, 4 days, April 4th. And my realtor calls me like the day before my birthday. And he's like, hey, D. Also, shout out to Jim Cook in Florida. And he goes, hey, D, guess what? I'm like, what? He's like, the seller that outbid you backed out. Yeah. Because in Florida, apparently, like putting an offer in is just like, and it's over. Like you can just say, hey, I changed my mind. I don't like that wall color, and you just back out and you get your money back. Florida is the Wild West, man. Like Florida is more Wild West than Texas.
I wish I knew that when I lived down there, because I was not savvy in the real estate world when I lived down there.
Maybe it's the town, but at least that particular market, it's very buyer friendly.
That's awesome.
And the couple, the man he was blind, he was like getting sick. He wanted to move back to Alabama where his kids were, because the idea was that they're retiring and gonna live in Florida, but their kids were in Alabama. They weren't visiting, so they're moving back to Alabama because it was his 80th birthday coming up, and he wanted to spend it with family and stay there. So they were in a rush to sell. I was in a rush to buy, and they said, "We'll take the 239 offer." I was like, "Can we do 235?" And there was like, "Dude, chill." Like I was like, so anyway, 239 it was. Went through the nightmare of getting a HELOC approved, and read all these books. So bought a house in Philly from Florida, and then like bought a house in Philly, in Florida, in Philly. So I signed remotely.
Within like a month of each other, right?
Yeah, March. I was signing March 1st for the second house, and I was signing like mid-April for. Yeah, no. I actually closed in person in May. I went down there to close. Yeah, but I did all the processing from here. And in the meantime, I was like audiobooks, Sarah Weaver, midterm rentals, Airbnbs, like all these Bigger Pockets stuff. Shout out to Bigger Pockets. And I was like doing all the reading, and I was thinking more like midterm rentals, but it turned out that the 30-day rentals, that was not the market. Like this is more of a shorter term market. That's there's more movement. So 30-day market is for like traveling nurses, really. This market is more for sports, family events, stuff like that. So I ended up moving the target of the length of the stays.
Nice.
Yeah.
I got a little nugget for you on that one that I just learned today. So I got to do a little bit more research, and you definitely got to bring into your accountant on this one. But short-term rentals, technically in the eyes of the IRS, work as a hotel. So therefore, you can use the depreciation of those against your W-2 income. You do not need to be a real estate professional because it is not a true rental. It's a hotel. If the average of your stays are under 7 days, it should work. And then the workaround on that is if you have people that are staying typically for like 30 days, and then you got like this random 2 weeks off and so forth, you have your own LLC, book it per day during the off times. So your LLC is paying it, but they're only staying one night technically. One night takes away a 30-day down to a 15-day average. Another one night brings that down again.
So that works if I'm filing taxes as an LLC, or also could work if I'm filing it as myself?
I believe so, yeah. As I said, I just learned it today, but definitely look into it with your accountant about your short-term rental being looked at as a hotel and using that depreciation to offset your W-2 income.
I need that. First of all, I need to get tax accountant. That's in my to-do list. My to-do list is too long, but yeah.
Yes. Offline, I can give you a couple recommendations out of it, just because I don't know if these people want me actually giving out their names and information. But my brother-in-law does use somebody who is very specifically real estate. And I think he's nationally ranked within like what he does within that. And then I personally use somebody that I think he's technically a CPA, but he just believes in investing and retirement. So everything he does, he kind of puts over towards my end and tells all of his clients about. He's very open. He's not trying to make money off of us. He's actually trying to help us. And the 2.5 years that I've had him now, he's actually made me more money through his advice than any other accountant that I ever had beforehand, ever.
I need one of those.
Yeah, I mean, he's introduced me to like SEP IRAs, the 529s for my kids, and the different things that they can do. It's not just for schools. Opening up drip accounts into like an M1 drip account for stocks. You just drop it in, pre-tell what stocks to buy, and forget it, set it. He turned me on to the top 10 dividends list that he likes, that pays high for low prices. So those are like, I mean, he's giving me some really, really cool retirement tidbits.
I love that.
Yeah, those, as an investor, that's a big one for me. Go get a good real estate tax advisor.
Yes, absolutely. Send me all the recs. You already sent me one or two, but yeah, I'm interviewing for one, but they're kind of hard to get.
They are, because each one is also
hard.
very specific to what they do at the same time and what they do well. And that's got to line up to your game plan. Like my brother-in-law's accountant is awesome, as I said, but it doesn't line up to my game plan. I don't have enough properties to do what he likes to do to offset short-term problems, because he'll do an accelerated depreciation if he needs to offset some income.
Right.
And I don't. If I accelerate my depreciation, then I'm done. I got nothing for next year.
Right.
Yeah. So I need. So like it has to fit your game plan. And who knows? He could probably work it into my game plan. And to me, when you're interviewing them, ask them questions of up-to-date stuff. What laws changed this year that are going to affect me? Because if they're not staying up to that stuff, that's just money out of your pocket.
Right.
But
It's finding a good tax accountant. Finding someone to help me with LLC is an urgency.
good lawyer.
Good lawyer.
Yeah, no, good LLC lawyer. I have mine. I've never even met him. He's down in Delaware, I believe. But for a few $100, he sets up my LLCs for me. And you can do it. You can go online and do LLC docs. I think it is LLCdocs.com or something like that. And you can set up your own. I'm one of those people that I'd rather pay somebody to make sure it's done properly and done the first time.
Right.
So, because I mean, like, for example, I didn't use my LLC for like a year and I misplaced my documents. I called him back, asked him for those documents, and within 24 hours, he had them emailed over to me from my bank accounts and all that.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
LLC.
Yeah, sticky note it. From sticky note to the computer, and from the computer, it goes to action.
Yep.
What's something that you learned this year investing that kind of changed your mentality and the way you think?
So many things out there, but I'd say the one thing that was like that there's been months that I won not a lot of money, but because I'm learning. I've made, what do you call it? I've broken even every single month except for August, and I made money every single month except for August. August I lost money. So I'd say there's two things that you should definitely have to consider if you're going to be in the long distance Airbnb management, which is the one, if you lose 1 month, it's okay. Like, don't freak out, never sell. Because in the long run, if you like add up your months, right? If it's Airbnb, it's usually going to be a vacation situation where you have high and low seasons. So hold on to it. Make sure that you average out. So you have your average income or loss. What is it? Your win or your loss, right? You have an amount. And you're very likely going to profit almost for sure, unless you're doing a horrible job managing it, you have to profit. Or if your interest rate is terrible, or I don't know. But if you are buying the right place, which there's many ways to check it out, like you are very, very likely going to at least cover your costs. And think about, it's not just that. It's like, even if you are losing a little bit of money, or if you're just covering your costs, you're still building equity. So just be patient and build your equity. Because, for example, I paid $239 for this house, and when the bank went to do the valuation, it came out at $255. So immediately from the first day, or like not from before I even bought it, right? My equity was just like jumped. I think it was like 18K, like immediately 18K equity under my name, plus the down payment, right? So like, worst case scenario, I manage it so poorly that I'm losing money every single month, that I have everything set up where I'm like, even if my worst case scenario where I lose money, I have income from other properties to cover it, because to me that was an experiment, a hypothesis that worked out very well. But I have plan A, B, C, D, E, F all the way to Z, right? And in the worst case, like, I'm still building equity and I'm gonna hold on to it, and I can rent it. I can rent it unfurnished. I can like go live there myself, right? I can, oh, I'm really not making money. Okay, I'm gonna like rent out my properties and just go focus on riding horses. My advice too would be, if you're gonna do that, like, make sure you do it. Don't do it in a horse market. Like, no one would love a horse market unless you love horses. Like, you would go crazy in that little town. But do it somewhere where you have a personal interest in, a place that you want to take your family vacation. If you like the beach, do it in the beach. If you like the mountains, do it there, the Poconos, like, right? Somewhere that when you want, that can be your vacation home. And if you decorate it and furnish it and you have it set up in the way that you want it, in the experience and what you, the customer experience as the user, if you're the user and you cater to yourself because it's your house and you keep it nicely, your customers are going to just love that. And then it's so easy, because you're not going to be like, what would my customers like? It's like, no, what would I like in my getaway house, right? And that's it.
I love
Yeah.
You basically just described our generations of like man caves and she sheds, but it's for a house. Get your man shed, get your she shed, get your man cave, but do it as a vacation. And you said something in there that is one of the biggest nuggets out of it. Make it actually nice. These are not, Airbnbs do not succeed when they're cheap, when they've got just the common little things. They need something to draw it. A hot tub, for example, or a pool table, or whatever it is that what your little thing is that you like to do. Buy it and put it in there. Other people will appreciate it. Other people will love it. And then, as you say, when you get to go,
it's yours.
It's yours. And nice little tidbit, you get to write that off too.
Exactly. I made it like my dream horse house, right? Like, I got so into it. I went to flea markets, state sales to get the furnishings. So my, like, all the furniture is like solid wood, like mahogany and like beautiful stuff. I mean, I rented this giant U-Haul. Like, they didn't have a small, I wanted a pickup truck, dude. And for some reason, Florida doesn't rent you if you don't have a Florida license, the pickup truck ones in U-Haul. So I ended up with the next one up. They don't tell you that either. They don't tell you that, because U-Haul has, why would U-Haul tell you that? Why? So I get there and they're like, well, you can't do that, ma'am. And they're so rude. And I was like, so what can I do? How about solutions, huh? Solutions. So they tell me, oh, you can get a truck. And I like a big truck. And I was like, what is the difference between a pickup truck and a truck? Like, what? They're like, we don't know. We just the way, this is what the manual says. So then, all right, can you get me a truck? And they're like, well, we can, but you have to go to that other store. And then the other store only has I don't know, that's 18 feet. Like, no, like 16 feet. Like, this
16 footer. Yep.
So stupid amount, giant U-Haul. Like, not the one that you get to move a house or a two. No, the one you get to move like a full mansion that's the one they gave me because that's the one they had. And I had 2 or 3 weeks to furnish this thing in and out. Because I already listed it on Airbnb. And someone had rented it already. So my plan, because I'm crazy, I was like, I go there June 12th. By June 1st, it's furnished. And so like by June 2nd, I'm putting it on Airbnb. And with the pictures from the outside, because I couldn't put pictures from the inside on Airbnb because the hoarders, someone booked it for a month and a half, starting like in June. And I was like, all right, there's my furnishing costs. And I didn't have to pay my first mortgage until July. So I was like, cool. So there I was in my, I don't know, what is it, 16-foot trailer U-Haul going all around Florida. It's so hard to drive that thing. I took it back. The brakes don't work, sir. What do you mean? And they went to like drive it and like test it, and they're like, they do work. That's the way they are. It's just a giant truck, so you just be careful when you brake. So I learned to drive that stuff. Where was I?
But you see, again, you just jump right into it. Okay, as much as I make fun of you for jumping right into it, you actually don't just really jump right into it. You have backup plan A, backup plan B, escape plan C, worst case scenario D. So although it sounds like you do fully jump right into it, you do put a lot of planning into it, which probably goes back to your W-2 job out of it. And the big benefit out of that is you always have an out. You're never going to be caught red-handed and being like, I'm stuck with $300,000 debt.
Right.
And that's the key here is, yeah, we're having a lot of fun on this, but you actually are planning this. You are thinking about it. You are running numbers. You are reading books. So it as I say, I might go a little harsh on the fact that you're jumping in, but I just love it. I love the fact that you are willing to, hey, 16-foot solutions.
I dive right into it. But like, I'm a project manager. I should be a program manager. It's a different story for a different day. But by day, I do project management and like risk management and all that stuff. And I manage a lot of things for programs, right? So my job is to identify risks before they even happen, before we even start, like what are all the things that could go wrong, and then identify solutions for those risks before they happen. And that way it's never a crisis, right? It's just okay, that didn't work, so is it A, B, or C? And if this, then what, right? So
love that. If this, then what? I haven't heard that for a long time in my life.
I think I just made it up. But even with my day job skills, there's free softwares out there for project management. I used one called Asana, which is used for basically creative agencies use it. They have a free plan for small things and free trials basically. So I did a list of all things I needed to do because I was in like my timeline was so short. It was 3 weeks. But it actually ended up being only 2 weeks because coincidentally, my friend from South America called me and he was like, hey, like, I'm moving to the States. Like, I need a place to stay. Like, I know you have houses. Like, can you spot me for like, while I get a job? And I was like, actually, how about I cut you a deal? I have a 3-bedroom house. You help me and I help you. And so there we are in the giant U-Haul, like pulling and pushing giant furnitures of solid wood and painting walls and making
the dream work.
Making the dream work. We had a Western room. I'll send pictures, like a Western theme room with like a little chest and like all the hats and like a cow skull at the top. And then we had the White Horse Dream Room, which is like for like 2 twins, and like all the furniture was white, matching white. And then the living room was like this beautiful like mahogany table, because it's still there, with the wooden bench that I got. Everything was like mismatched, but everything's like worked together. And because I had my project plan and I basically ordered stuff on Amazon so that it would get delivered the day that I got there. The couch was from Costco, like got it on some sale, it got delivered before I even got the keys to the house, but they had the code, so they like put it in as I was signing, and I get there and there's all these boxes with the mattresses delivered at the front door. So we like just dove right into it. Like he was briefed. I was the project manager. And within 2 weeks, my plan was 3 weeks. Within 2 weeks, we were done with everything. And like, he's also a chef by living. So he was cooking for me. I was buying the food and I had the house and he was cooking for me and basically being my helper. I'm not going to say other, but basically being my helper and my personal chef while I am like doing this. I'm documenting everything so that next time it's just a copy paste. It's a list on Amazon that I click buy, right? Everything was done and every room was just beautiful. Like I literally have drawings of like what curtains should look like, right? Like the colors. Literally manifestations of like the vanity.
You are a journalist.
I am, yeah.
Oh, I love it. And then you said this is how you like just helps you think it out.
Yeah, like I would draw it and then I would somehow find it at the state sales or like the Goodwills. And if I couldn't find it, then I would try to Amazon it. But I don't like buying furniture in Amazon. This is the Western room.
Oh my god!
And it turned out like exactly like that. Like
every day?
I try, yeah. It's my. I'm crazy. I have a wild imagination, so it's my way of like grounding myself.
Meditation. Yeah. I love it. Absolutely.
So, like I would take a picture like this, like a video, and then lower the journal, and then like reveal the real thing, and it's just so cool because I'm like, I imagined it, and I bidi bada boom ba. Oh.
Yeah.
Boom. Bidi bada boom.
Yeah.
There it is. Bidi babidi boom ba. And there it was. So yeah. And
so
if you look
taking on all this stress, is journaling your way of de-stressing, working out, running, reading? What is it that gets you de-stressed?
Journaling is my stressor and also my reliever because I have these journals that have like calendars, right? So here's when I was turning 20. Oh, I was turning 29. Yeah, I was turning 29. I am in this crisis that I'm turning 30. So.
Oh, you got your 3 before 30. You're good.
Yeah, I got my 3 before 30. So like I'll journal like my month, and then like the rest of them are like drawings of ideas and things. Like this is the venue that I'm talking about. Like that's their brand. Is very fancy. I don't know, like I have drawings. So this is, I don't know, it's my collection of thoughts.
It brings you into another further entrepreneurial thing that we'll get into another day out of it. Is that a CERTA business card I just saw?
Oof, yeah, that's for my it's my cooking business.
Yeah, we'll get into that one. That's a cool story, but not for today, because I want to spend some real time onto that because you just kind of flipped your entrepreneurial investing in real estate and literally turned right into that. But yeah, we'll get that full story another time out of it. How can our listeners get a hold of you?
Oof.
Other than knocking on every pink door and asking for it.
That's a good way. But definitely Instagram at the moment, Instagram at Deyni, Deyni, M as in Mary, Z as in zebra. So Deyni MZ. That's on Instagram. I've started organizing it better, and I have a highlight for the Pink Door project. I will soon enough start another Instagram account because I'm a very Instagram person, where I'm going to call it the Pink Door project. So either Deyni MC on Instagram or later on at the Pink Door project. Or I can share my email. I don't know. What do people do?
It all depends upon what industry they're in and how they want people to communicate. So like me, email is like the worst thing ever. I hate email.
I can't do email.
I
want to do a website. I want to buy a URL, the Pink Door project, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I got to do an LLC.
There we go. We can let the listeners tell us.
All right. So how about that? At Deyni MC and look for the Pink Door project tiles. I upload stuff real estate related all the time.
Nice. Are you looking at any properties, any areas right now?
Just had that convo with my dad this morning. Actually, last night we had a whole debate of if I should buy another one there or if I should buy another one here. P was pushing for Philly, I was pushing for Florida, but I think we landed on I want to go back to school because I got bullied out of corporate as of recent. I soft quit my job. I put my foot down because I was honestly being harassed. I'm not gonna name names or anything, but I was basically being overworked. If I don't work as a contractor, I don't get paid for time off. I was trying to get time off. They were not giving it to me. They were plagiarizing my work. It was just not good. Not a good environment. So I recently parted ways with my day job. And my plan is to get my house ready. So this one, it's a 3-bedroom. But it has the office that is not really a bedroom. So I'm gonna add a door. And I'm gonna add a door to this office so I can either rent it as 2 separate Airbnb rooms because I got a license for Airbnb in Philly. So I would have either the whole. So the way. Hold on. This is supposed to be a blueprint. It's supposed to be a blueprint, but anyway. It's the top floor I call the penthouse of this house. It's the Barbie bedroom, and then it's a bathroom in between, and then there's the office. The office doesn't have a door, so I'm gonna add a glass door to the Barbie bedroom, and I'm gonna add a door to the office, so I can rent it either as a whole penthouse or as 2 separate rooms in Airbnb. There's a door at the bottom of the stairs, so there's a door with a lock to go upstairs to the 4th floor, and it's the whole floor, and that's my penthouse. And then 2nd floor or the floor underneath, there's 2 bedrooms that's rented out already, and then it's underneath that is kitchen, living room. I fixed the backyard myself in 2 weeks with my chef friend, who is also my contractor. We're like pushing and pulling planks of wood and painting and astroturfing stuff. So the living room, kitchen, outdoor space is beautiful. And then the bottom floor, the basement, is not really a basement because it's like the street level. So I added a door. So basically with the money that someone paid as a deposit, I put up a door. And that's another room that I rent. I don't assume legally. Yeah. Because there's an exit. Like there's the door is right there. It's legal. So that makes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rooms. 1, 2, 3 bathrooms and a half. So basically I am landing on, I'm going to winterize my home, get it ready for rent all the rooms. The ones that I can't rent permanently or semi-permanently, I will Airbnb them. I will snowbird wherever. I think I'm going to go home for a little bit. I need to see my family. My grandmas are turning 90 this year, so I got one of the holidays with them. It's my dad's 70th birthday, New Year's Eve. So I'll escape that, and in the meantime, while I'm bored down there, I don't get bored, but when I have free time, I'll get my real estate agent license. What?
When I'm bored, I'll just get a license.
I mean, it's like, come on, like how hard can it be? Am I being cocky?
It's not.
It's not hard. Yeah, exactly. So I'll get that, so I can just like make my commission back, and like easily sell houses because I already do that anyway for people. Like, and like go buy that house. And then I will start applying to my MBA. I want to go to like a Ivy League MBA. But I also want to finish my bachelor's in fine arts because my dad and I made a deal. We always work with deals. And he told me you have to study a real degree. You can study art, but if and only if you study a real degree. So I was double majoring business and fine arts. And I ended up having to drop out of fine arts because I transferred to a better school and my credits didn't transfer with me for art, and it would have taken too much money, too much time. So I finished my business degree in marketing. So I'm going to finish my bachelor's in art, or at least take some classes in, I think, SCAD. Have you heard Savannah College of Arts, SCAD. Savannah is beautiful in Georgia. It's, oh my God, beautiful Victorian style town, so pretty. And also very warm, so maybe I go spend some months there. And I'm gonna study and apply for whichever Ivy League will have me. Actually,
Nice.
Ivy League offers me the better deal. That's the idea I go to get my MBA. I say Wharton, my dad says Stanford, but we'll see. We'll see what they say.
Yeah, and look at that weather at the same time. One last question for you. How do you find your foreign exchange tenants?
It's a good question. I join groups on Facebook.
Okay.
Facebook might be a dinosaur in many things, but it's actually good for like groups and communities. So I'll go like Philly roommates or Philly tenants and sublets or temporary housing, and you join the groups. You have to answer some questions sometimes, and I'll just post in all the groups. And there's one called the Philippines too, which is great. The Philippines, shout out to them because it's like this, not the single ladies, but the ladies of Philadelphia and the socioeconomic bracket that we're operating in. And these ladies, I can tell you, can single-handedly save the world. Like a pandemic, they'll do it. One girl gets cheated on, like, have you seen this guy? And the next day there's his like LinkedIn and his job is calling him, and like, yeah, like it's the Philippines are superheroes, like the heroes we don't deserve. But anyway,
on good sides.
I posted on those sites, and I get really good girls, and I'm very like a vibey person, so I'll have them over for like a coffee or a tea or whatever it is, and I'll show them the house. We'll feel each other out.
Yeah.
They have to like dogs. They have to like pink. I take boys and girls, but I prefer girls because girls prefer girls. And the international students that I've gotten, Federica is one of them. She's a PhD studying eyes and fixing eyes, glaucoma with saffron. So she's super smart. She speaks Italian and English, learning English, but she's getting her PhD program in English. So she's living here. She lived with me already for a few months when I was in winter in Florida. She took my room. Never seen my room cleaner when I got back. You could go like this on the ground in the bathroom, and it was like not a single particle of dirt. So she told me she was asked to come back in the next year. So she's back with me in our new house. And she's teaching me Italian. I'm teaching her English. And when we don't understand each other, we speak in Spanish. And the goal is
It really is pretty universal. Awesome. That's freaking awesome. I don't know how else to say that. Your networking skills, you keep everybody close. I mean, you use what you have at your advantage, and as you said, you're very personable, and you can see it. I mean, just through your stories out of it, you're always having that help, and it's never that help of like bad. It's, hey, can you reach out? And yes, people look at you and go, hey, yeah, I would love to come help you because they know you and they know that you can help them later. That's awesome. Unfortunately, we are getting down to our wind down time.
We're like so over.
I know, but that's all right. The listeners, I guarantee, appreciate that because we got them some good information on this one. But any last things, any last advice you want to shout out to anybody before you leave?
Yeah, my most recent lesson learned is pay it forward. Like give a handout if you can. If you don't, give advice. And then the other one is know your time's worth, because what your time is worth, like monetarily, give it a number, because I realize that as my grandmas are getting older and I'm realizing I have limited time left, I need to prioritize time with them and my family. And time is the only limited resource in theory. So I did crazy mathematical formula there that I made up with. And I determined that if I'm working like just online on Teams, my time is worth $60 an hour, because that's what they paid me, past tense. And if I'm like actually working, like if I'm like thinking hard with my brain and like, that time is worth $100, because then I could be on Airbnb or like analyzing big data or whatever it is, and that's going to pay off that way. And my free time is worth about $30, because that is a time I could spend with my dogs, walking in the park, going to the gym, which is, didn't answer that earlier, but one of my de-stressors, riding my horses, right? Like, so I value my time, and I realized I was like, I have to put my foot down and say, if it's not worth my time, it's not worth my time. And that is with friends, with people. Like, if you're going to be a negative influence in my life, you're not worth my time. And if you're going to be positive, you're absolutely welcome. And I'm going to help you. And if you listen to my advice, because I've been there, done that, made the mistake 3 times. Actually, no, I never make the mistake twice. Maybe twice, but I try not to. You take my advice, I'll give it to you. But if you're not going to listen, I'm not. And I'm not going to raise my voice. And I'm not going to be in a place where nobody wants me. And if someone tells me to go, I'll just go somewhere else and probably buy a house there,
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, value yourself, especially women out there. Don't let toxic people, men, women, step on you. Stand up for yourself. Like, teach your daughters, teach your friends, your moms, learn from your moms, learn from leaders. Like, watch women who are powerful do their thing, because women who are powerful doing their thing are not considered, oh, they're nagging, they're bossy. No, we get our way in whichever way we want it, and you don't even know that we're getting our way because you think you're doing it for us. So women power, value your time, and never sell.
I love it. Hey, you're awesome. Unfortunately, that is the end of our episode of the Atomic Real Estate Show. There will be more actual Adam-sized bits of advice that will be free for the taking on our next episode, so be sure to tune in next week. Thank you again to our listeners. Deyni, you're awesome. We will be continuing this. But I do want to challenge everybody out there. Take some action. I challenge you to be 1% better today by putting all your distractions away for 7 minutes, closing your eyes, and just concentrating on your breath and seeing where your thoughts take you. I'm serious. Just start with 7 minutes, start with 5 minutes, start with 3 minutes, but challenge you to be 1% better today. This has been a Direct Subs production. Don't forget to check them out at directsubs.com. Please like and subscribe. I appreciate you all for listening. Thank you. You are amazing. You really, how you have kept a positive attitude through everything only goes to show how much you actually put thought into effort into your plans and actions. Because when life throws you a curveball, you already know that you have an answer already put out there for it. And that's fucking awesome. It's truly is. I mean, I know we were talking about Bigger Pockets earlier about how they inspired me, but you're that person. Like you're that same person that I listened to on Bigger Pockets. Why am I just fucking sitting back? Like what is fucking wrong with me?
Right. When
somebody else clearly can take action and be profitable out of it, if it's by time or if it's by money, either way. And as I said, that's awesome. Everybody needs to get off the fucking ass and just be actionable.
Right. Just do it. Like, what's the worst that can happen? You sell. Like, don't sell, but worst case scenario, you sell or you rent and you go. And everyone else has an excuse for not buying a house or whatever it is. Like, there's always an excuse. And we're going to run out of time.
Yeah. And that's one of the things that made me quit my corporate job 4 years ago was time with my little guy at the time. He was about 3.5 years old, and he chose his grandfather over me one day. And I literally got on the plane the next day to go down to my job where I was working in Miami at the time. And on the plane, I wrote my letter of resignation because I was just, no, My son will not choose his grandfather over me. No way, no how.
Well, I just got fired last Tuesday.
Honestly, you're in a good spot.
I'm in a very good spot. I mean, I had it in my timeline because I'm a contractor. So I don't know if I told you, like, I need full-time offer to get the benefits.
Yep.
And even then, like, they had made me an offer last year. It was like a 30K, like, I don't know, less money. Why would you offer me 30K less? Like, what the fuck? Wi-Fi is not worth 30K. Comcast.
Right.
Let's please not say Comcast in the. I didn't say Comcast, but that was Comcast. And I was like doing all this work, and it was fine because my job is basic project manager, right? But they hired me originally for a bigger position, and they ended up, because of their stupid reorgs, giving me a basic project management role, which I did, but I'm not someone's secretary. And this guy he's my coworker, we put together this team. I was there before. I was running that team before he even got there. But he's a design lead, and he got the full-time offer. He accepted it. I was like, good for you. I'll wait my turn if they give me one, and if not, like, dude, same. We're on the same boat, right? So like he's autistic. He has what is it called? He's not social normative, whatever it's called. So, and he has OCD. So he's a very difficult person. So my job was to just keep him calm and keep him happy. And what happened was that he got the full-time offer eventually, and then he starts thinking he's my boss, and he starts micromanaging me. And I was like, listen, boy, that's not how that works. We're a team, like, we're equals. I work with you if you work with me. But then he starts like micromanaging me, and he kept doing it and giving me like all these things to do. And I'm like, dude, I don't know, like, you can be in your computer from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. I'm not going to do that. I have other shit to do. I have a life. I have friends. So you do you, but you tell me what you need, and you tell me your priorities, and I'll work on the priorities, and I'll automate everything. Like, I was automating shit so we didn't have to do it manually, right? But he's asking me then to like take notes and join this meeting and take this call and like do this for someone. I'm like, they're adults. We're managing adults. They can do it themselves. Like, if you want me to do that, then I can't do this other thing that you're asking me to do, right? So I was like, dude, okay, I did it. I need some time off. And he was like, well, I'm taking time off, so you can take time off. So then I was like, okay, cool. But dude, I've gotten a cold 3 times the past season. Like, I'm getting burned out. I'm like not sleeping well. Like, I need time off.
Yeah, that's serious.
This full-time job, I have my real estate business. I somehow essentially started my cooking business with my chef friend, and now I'm doing consulting for somehow. So and he knows that, and he's jealous, I think. And then he was buying a house or trying to buy a house, and he was stressed out because they were playing him. And I have an algorithm where I like ping the APIs of Zillow and Airbnb, and I can even tell you how busy the market is with artificial intelligence and how long it takes from posting a house to closing on a house in a specific zip code. It's fucking basic shit. I mean, it's not, but it's, to me, it's like so simple, right? So I'm telling him, like, dude, they're playing you. They're telling him that if he doesn't sign with like these specific constraints, that they're fucking him over, because the agent on both sides they have one agent. The buyer and the seller are the same agent, and the agent is friends with the seller. So they're playing him. Yeah, exactly. He doesn't have his own real estate agent, his own agent. So they're playing him super hard, and then they're telling him that like there's maybe another buyer out there who's all cash, and he's in Texas, in like middle of nowhere Texas. And I'm like, how much is the house? He's like 280. I'm like, Troy, how many people in your area do you think have 280K cash ready to go, and they're gonna like pop up between 5 p.m. today and 7 a.m. tomorrow, and just like close in the house that you've been working on for months, and the people doing the work have put so much work into it. Even their templates, man, they're not that easy to make. Like, nobody wants to do it all over again. Chill. So he's all stressed out about that, and he's taking it out on me, and he's mad that I'm basically telling him he's getting played. And I'm like, don't sign anything until you talk to me tomorrow. And then tomorrow I'm like, dude, need some time off. Like gotta take my dog to the vet. She like ate some stuff she shouldn't have. She's throwing up. And he's like, well, how should I cover it for you? And he starts telling me that. But then he's like, can you join this call? Can you join this call? Can you join this call? And I'm telling my manager, I'm like, I need time off. He's like, cool, I'll cover for you. But he's an idiot, so he can't cover it for me. And then then he keeps bullying me. And then he goes like, I'm like, Troy, shut the fuck up, dude. Like, I'm not your bitch. I didn't say that, but I was like, if you want a bitch, I'll get you Peter. He's a bitch I've been trying to train. Like, I'll get you an intern. Like, but I am Deyni, and like, I am not that. And my time is worth more than that. And I'm getting sick and I'm getting burnt out and I need to go home. And like, chill the fuck out, man. Because I am not going to stay here if you treat me like that. And I already literally talked to a guy who works at Google last night at a networking event for fun. And I told him I'd help him get a house at the price that he wants if he gets me a job at Google. And it was just passive, like fucking around, right? But like, it's true. He's the marketing lead at Google at Android. I have his number. So he took that as me basically saying I quit. Ooh, Tiffany just booked October 13th to October 15th.
That's awesome.
So I said that to him. And I was, again, dude, I was getting sick. I was not sleeping. I was like about to have a mental breakdown because I'm like, I have too much shit to do. And then the next day I get a call from my agency. And then they're like, you're terminated immediately, effective immediately. No reason. Because my contract ends technically at the end of September, beginning of October. And I've been asking, is it going to be renewed? Is it going to be renewed? But budget and stuff, whatever, right? Effective immediately. And I was like, huh. Well, I have proof for basically harassment. I literally got Me Too'd earlier this summer. A manager offered to give me a ride home, and he like parked on. Yeah, he was like, "Let me show you where I used to live in Manayunk," and then he parked in this street with no light, next to the trash, next to the river, and he tried to kiss me, and I was like, "Fuck no, dude!" Literally, and then I was like, "Get me the fuck home right now." Or I'm either walking out and I'm calling the cops, and I'm calling your boss and your boss because his bosses love me. And he was like, okay, I'll take you home. So he takes me home, and I'm like, I'm not gonna involve HR because that's just, I don't want to fucking deal with that. And I'm trying to get a promotion here, and I'm trying to like play my cards right. I'm running with the big boys. Like I gotta play the game right. So I didn't do it, but I have evidence, and I have messages, and I have proof. So piss me off a little bit more, Comcast. Piss me off a little bit more. Piss me off. And you know what? The next day, everyone on LinkedIn, all my friends add me on LinkedIn from Comcast. And you know what? The VP, the VP of engineering and the director of engineering at Comcast want to talk to me tomorrow or by tomorrow, because there was a reorg and they think they have something that I might be interested in. So fuck you, Troy. I'm gonna fuck you. But
you imagine if you're Troy's boss?
I will be. If I want to, I will be. But right now I just wanna like get all my to-do lists done before I like do anything else.
I like it. Knock some.
And I can file for unemployment, and I can have my paid vacation now.
Yeah, see? They listen, you paid enough into unemployment, you might as well take some back from it. Right?
I got fired, so I can file unemployment.
Yeah.
And it's a percentage of my paycheck. So
yeah, they take it every month when you're working. Might as well take it back now.
Right.
But yeah, hey, I know you gotta go. I do. I have my kid's bus stop is here in 5 minutes.
Oh, okay.
I gotta go grab them from the bus stop, but this has been awesome. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. I'll call you when I'm at Bigger Pockets next week.
All right. Sounds good. We'll stay in touch.
All right. Bye, Paul.
If you enjoyed our episode, please consider supporting the show by rating and reviewing the podcast. Also, check us out on Instagram at Atomic Real Estate Show to find out when new shows drop and to participate in our community Q&As. The Atomic Real Estate Show was brought to you by Direct Subs. Direct Subs is the #1 place for real estate investors to connect with local contractors for their flips, rentals, renovations, and new construction projects.